Hello, welcome. This video is a journal with me, so I have my journal here. We're going to answer some questions about the past week, reflect on the week, do a weekly review. My hope for this video is that you will grab your journal, grab your pen, grab your cup of tea, journal along with me as we review the week. I'm going to take you through 6 questions. You can pick the ones that seem most relevant to you or that you most want to answer, but I like to do all of these. Some of these I'll just answer as a sentence or as an overview, and others I will do like a list. We'll go through and you'll see what I mean. So please grab your journal, open it up, and we're going to use for this a double page spread. So at the top I like to just write in big bubble letters weekly review, and I like to put the dates, so I'll put Monday the 19th to Sunday the 25th. So it ends up looking something like this. The important part is the writing. It's not how neat your handwriting is or how nice it looks. If you care about that and you want to focus on that, great, but don't let that hold you back from the actual writing. I journal every day for about 10 minutes every day. I have done a journal with me video where I go through the categories that I do every day, so I'll leave that for you if you want to check that out next. So because I journal every day, I have data now that I can go back and look at and remember, oh, on this day I did this, that was a bad day, that was a good day. But if you don't have that, do not worry, you don't need it, but it can be helpful. The first thing we're going to journal about is highlights. So I am just writing highlights in the corner here. I like to do a box around it, like that. Actually, I'll draw all the categories first because then I'll show you how I lay it out, because I don't want to show you once I've started writing it. I leave a little bit of space between them, but if we're doing 6 prompts today, 6 questions, 3 on each page, I think is the way to do. I have laid out the categories. And again, my writing is not as neat as I would like it to be. So we have highlights, challenges, my mood this week, a lesson that I learnt this week, what story did I tell myself, and what story can I tell myself going into the new week. I've spaced it out in the way that I think. So I had quite a few challenges, my mood was very up and down. I've given myself more space to write about that than the highlights, unfortunately. Some weeks are just like this. And then a lesson, I've only given myself a couple of lines because that's just going to be 1 or 2 sentences. These are bigger because I want to write more about the story that I have and that I am going to tell myself. If you're with me on this and you want to go through all the 6 categories, we're starting with highlights. So either look back over what you've written this past week, or look through your calendar to see what you did. You want to get a really well-rounded view of the week. And there can be things, particularly if something good happened on Monday but it was only a small thing, like maybe you took time to make yourself a really wholesome dinner instead of ordering a takeaway. That is something that is great, but you may have forgotten that because later on in the week you might have had a really nice time with your friends, or you completed a bit of work that you're really proud of, so that can overshadow that small thing that happened earlier in the week. So it's not about like, oh, I can't remember what happened. It's more just making sure that you are giving those small highlights, those small things, the attention that they deserve. So if we start off with this, highlights, anything good that happened this week that you appreciate. It can be like a big highlight, small highlight, doesn't matter as long as it is important to you. Okay, I have filled up my highlights section, highlights box. So now we move on to challenges. What were some things that you struggled with this week. Again, big things or small things. Make a note of them, and they're going to help us later when we talk about what story did I tell myself, or a lesson that we can take from the past week. So what challenges did you face this week? I've filled in my challenges box. The next section is my mood this week. Here you can just list lots of things that you felt. So did you feel angry? Did you feel tired? Did you feel grateful, joyful, hopeful? Normally I end up putting something like felt very up and down this week. This as well can link to what story did you tell yourself. Like my mood this week might be like, I feel like I'm not good enough. Don't overthink it. When you think about my mood this week, think about the highlights and the challenges that you've just written about. How did those impact your mood positively or negatively? Did you put in your challenges, I've put feeling tired. So my mood could be like, I'm feeling like I don't get enough sleep. Or I'm feeling like I am doing too much, so I'm not prioritizing my sleep in the way I should be. Or a highlight could be, I had a really nice dinner with my friends. So then the mood would be feeling connected. Don't overthink it. The category we're doing here is my mood this week. What was your mood like this week? Okay, so now we've done those categories, you will see that, I don't want to show what I've written, but we've completed one page now, so we've got this page of questions to do. So the first one we're going to do is a lesson that you learnt this week. So this can be drawing on the highlights or the challenges. Quite often for me, a lesson that I learnt this week, this category is about something that I've been reminded of. So I'm reminded after spending time with this person that I always feel uplifted, or I'm reminded of the importance of getting a good night's sleep. A lesson I learnt this week was that I can get through difficult situations, or that I can sit through my uncomfortable feelings. Don't overthink it either. Start writing and see what happens, because there might be something that comes out that you're really surprised by. The great thing about doing this category, a lesson that I learned this week, was that in a month or in a few months, if you're struggling, you can look back over all of the lessons that you learned, and it can be a reminder to you that you are making progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. So I do like this category. This is an important one. What is something that you can take from this week, a lesson that you can take into the next week? The next category we are doing is what story did I tell myself this week? Think about the dominant narrative that has defined your week. So look at the things you've been struggling with. Think about your mood. What story underpins all of that? Are you telling yourself, I'm not good enough? I can never do the right thing. I just don't have enough time. I'm so busy and I can never get the things I want to get done. This is about becoming aware of how your thoughts are working, because once you become aware of these things, as we will address in the next one, you can then see how you can change that narrative to get it to work to your advantage. So the thing we're writing about now is, what story did I tell myself this week? What story did you tell yourself this week? This is again one of these things where I've just written without thinking about it too much, and I'm really surprised by what I've written and the things that have come out. But this is good. This is what we want. So once you've written what story did I tell myself this week, look at what you've written. If you, like me, are feeling surprised by what just came out there, what story can you tell yourself going into the next week? Were all of the stories that you've written down here, that I'm not good enough, that success is hard, that I can't keep going, that I'm really tired, whatever it is, whatever stories that you've written down that have defined your week, are they all negative? Are there some positive ones in there? There definitely are a mix for me, which is nice. Which ones do I want to choose to take into the next week? Do I want to keep believing in these things? Now you have some awareness of what story you're telling yourself. You can look at these things that you've written down and think, do I want to keep believing this? Your thoughts aren't real. They aren't facts. You don't have to believe every single thing that comes into your head. Can you use one of these stories and turn it around to make a new story, a better story for the next week that you can think of? It can be helpful here to just pick one to define like a theme for the week, like I am good enough, to kind of have it as an affirmation. Or if you're just using this like I'm going to do as an exercise to write, to journal, I'm going to write all of the stories that I want to tell myself this week, all of the things that I want to replace those old stories with. What story can I tell myself going into the new week? What story can you tell yourself going into the new week? Great! I now have a complete double-page spread done in this journal of my weekly review from the past week. This is such a nice exercise. I do love doing this every Sunday, sitting down, looking over the past week. I hope that you have found this helpful as well. I really hope that you got your journal out and your pen and you were journaling along with me. Please let me know your thoughts. Did you like these prompts? Did you journal as well? Did some interesting things come up? Because for me, there were definitely some things that I am surprised by, and I'm going to think more about them and be aware of them as we go into the new week. I have a few journaling videos on my channel, so I will leave a link to the playlist on the screen. I will also leave a link to my journal with me video where we go through the questions that I ask myself every day. So it's just 4 journal prompts, and it's a video just like this one where I get my journal and we can journal together and you journal along with me, answering these questions that I do every day. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.